so good to be back in Michigan. I feel like I may have to get a bedroom here. I've been here a lot, but it's always great to be back. And I remember in 2020 campaigning with your great senator. Can we just give it up for her? She's done so much for all of us. And what about Misha Collins? So, Misha, you were great. Thank you, and Caitlin and Dr. So, Misha gets it. We were at an event together in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. 30 or so men talking about this very issue. Closed press, just having a conversation. And it was a deep conversation about how this issue, the Supreme Court, Donald Trump's Supreme Court, ripping away a fundamental right that had been on the books for 50 years from not only the women of our country, but all of us. It was so appalling in the discussions that we had as men, allies, fathers, you name it, it was deep. And so as we were leaving the event, we started catching up and getting to know each other more. And I said, hey, I'm going to be on the road talking about this. Will you join me in Michigan in a couple of weeks on the second anniversary of this egregious decision? And he said, I'm going to drop everything. Flew in, just got here an hour or so ago to be here for all of us. Misha, thank you so much. I thought people wanted my selfie walking around. And Caitlin, we did an event earlier today. Her story is the story of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of women. She is just an example of the barbarism. It's just unconscionable, the attack on people, on their health, literally waiting to die before they could get treatment. And this is every single day in Donald Trump's created crisis, every single day all over the country. And as the senator said, the best way to prevent it from going further is to re-elect Joe Biden and my wife, Kamala Harris. Because let me tell you something. We're going to win this election. And we are going to win Michigan. And we're going to make sure Donald Trump does not get anywhere near that White House ever again. And we have to win. We have no choice but to win this election. This is a complete binary election. On one hand, you have incompetence, chaos, someone who does not give a you-know-what about the people of the United States, and he's proved it. Remember when he said in 2016 that he wanted women to be punished for getting abortion? He came through on that promise, didn't he? And remember he said he wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade by appointing Supreme Court justices who would do just that? Well, he did that too. And so rest assured, and God forbid he gets back to the White House, it's going to be even worse because they're organized, they have a plan, they've got these certain states behind them, and they have just duplicitous people in Congress willing to do his bidding just to be around power. Did you see him going back to the Capitol a couple of weeks ago? Wasn't that disgusting? The guy who literally tried to overturn a free and fair election that he lost. We beat him like a drum. And those very same members of Congress who were scurrying, running in fear on January 6th were all standing around him like this. It made me sick. It should make every American sick. That's not who we are as a country. It's anti-democratic. It is anti-who we are as a people. Dobbs, I didn't want to call it an anniversary because that connotes something to celebrate. This is not something to celebrate. This is something to fight against. And I'll never forget where I was 2 years ago. I got a call from my wife, the vice president, who was on Air Force 2, traveling somewhere. And I got a call, and she said, something to the effect with anger and rage in her voice. Dougie, they actually did it. And we knew, remember there was a leaked version of the opinion, so we kind of knew this was coming. But to hear it, and to see it, and to feel it from the United States Supreme Court, the Court of Thurgood, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg took this right away. So I just knew then that she was going to go out and do what she's been doing the last 2 years, which is fighting and leading and pushing back on this. But I also got a very rare text from my daughter right after, 23 at that time, 25 now. She basically said, I wrote it down, I'm angry, and I don't want to stand by silently. It's time to fight. It's time to speak out. And Dad, you need to do something about this. But then, shortly thereafter, I heard from my then 81, now 83-year-old mother, Barb. And think about that, 81 years old, 50 some odd years ago. So in her 20s, in the 60s and 70s, she was out there fighting for equal rights, fighting for abortion rights, fighting for equal pay, all the things that we thought were going in the right direction. So my mother was appalled. And she said, how is it going to be possible that Ella is going to have less rights than me? And think about that. And also said, and honey, you need to do something about this. So I have been doing that for the last 2 years, not just because of those phone calls, and not just because I have a daughter. When I hear that from somebody, it's just, come on. I do it because it's the right thing to do. Because women should not be treated as less than. Women must have the same exact rights that men do. And this is a way that's taking rights away. And I also have a son who's 29 years old, just got married a few months ago, was thinking about starting a family, and his wife is from Arkansas and Texas. So think about, do we want to move back home? No, not if you want to start a family and not be subject to a 6-week abortion ban that in some instances criminalizes the act and also makes it a crime for the doctors. Think about that. So this is not an issue that I talk about just because I have a daughter. It's because it's the right thing to do. This is an issue that all of us need to care about, and men included. So I've been traveling around the country talking about this issue with men, and have had many guys come out and talk to me about it and tell their stories. And then when you mentioned Justice Thomas's concurring opinion in Dobbs, that should scare everyone. Because Roe v. Wade and a long line of fundamental rights were based on this case called Griswold. Yes, I'm a lawyer and I teach law part-time. Right to privacy. 60 years. Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Dobbs decision, saying that somehow this Griswold right of privacy didn't apply. And Justice Thomas said, what else can we look at that's based on that? Gay marriage, what you can do in your bedroom, contraception. Think about it. They're not hiding the ball here. This was in the concurring opinion. And so you see what's happening in these states are trying to do just that. And please, do not believe Donald Trump when he says, I'm not in favor of a national. He is. He ran on it. Look at the Supreme Court that he appointed. And when he says just throw it back to the states, you have these egregious stories that we just heard from Caitlin. You heard the senator talk about what's happening in Idaho. This is happening all over the country. That will continue to happen. So rest assured, even though in Michigan, I come from California, don't get comfortable. Do not get comfortable, because if we do not win this election, they are coming for your freedom right here in Michigan, California, and New York. Rest assured. Don't let it happen. You are not without power. They are trying to make you feel like you have no power. They're making it, there's so much, they're throwing so much at you, and I see every head shaking. Don't let them do that. It's 4 months. We can do anything for 4 months. 4 months to save our country. 4 months to protect your freedom. Right? Now I'm seeing some smiles. So this is also, like I mentioned, so many issues are at play. It's an issue for all of us. It's an issue for our economy. You hear these stories of these millions of women who live in places with these absolute bans, and they say, oh, well, you can just travel. Well, a lot of these states, they're tracking you with technology. They're making it illegal to travel. They're criminalizing doctors if they do. And if you're able to get out, do you have the money to get out? Can you take work off? You may already have children, because many women who seek this care, guess what, are already mothers. And so you've got this whole trope that, oh, just leave it to the states, and if you need to travel, you can. That's not true. So it's also unfair economically. It's just got to change. So how do we do it? Debbie said it. We have to re-elect Joe and Kamala, and not just because of this. It's because they deserve re-election. They've done a great job. I can't tell you how proud I am of Joe and Kamala. I get to work there. I get to see it every day, traveling this country to see all the great work that they've done, not just protecting your freedom, but just doing all these things. And all of that goes away. So think about whatever you care about, whatever that issue is, above and beyond your freedoms. Do you want to breathe clean air? That's at risk. Do you want to be free from gun violence? That's at risk. All of that is at risk. So that's why I've been saying, the President, Vice President, First Lady, we are not going to rest. We are barely going to sleep. We are going to do these next 4 months with joy and with pride, because we love our country. We are patriots just like you. This country is worth fighting for, so let's fight for it. Thank you.